today's video is going to be the 26 books that I want to read in 2026. I did this last year for the first time, and I did my 25 and 2025 books that I wanted to read. And I just posted before this that I had finished 14 out of the 25 books that I put on that list. So this year we are going to be trying to put less series on this list and just put as many standalone books that I have on this list. There are like 2 or 3 series that are going to be on this list, but a couple of them are buddy reads that I'm doing with my book bestie Felicia. I have 2 trilogies that I'm going to be reading with her later this year, but we're going to mention that later. So let's go ahead and talk about what is on my list for 2026. So that we're just going to talk about them. I'm not going to like show the title covers or anything like that. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So I actually had 2 books from this author on this list before I made this video. But since then I have read one out of the 2 books, and that is The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. I did read The Women earlier this month in January because I did put it on my TBR. So the next one is The Four Winds, because I didn't put The Great Alone on this list because I am fully intending on reading that in February, because The Women didn't like tear my soul out as much as usual Kristin Hannah books do. But usually I put like her books on this list. Now, this is now the second time I put her books on this list, and I usually avoid her books for a while because they're just so upsetting and they're so sad. But my book bestie Felicia wants me to read more Kristin Hannah, and obviously I've been wanting to read more of her books because I love her writing. But I did read The Women in January and I really liked it, so I want to continue the momentum that I have with Kristin Hannah. And now I've read 4 books by her because I've read The Nightingale, Firefly Lane, The Women, and Night Road. So now this would be my 6th. If I read Great Alone next month, I will be working through more of her books. So that is the first one. This one takes place during the Great Depression. Like after the summer of the war. So we're definitely reading that. I think we're going to read that in like June or July though, because I really want to read it like during the summer. So after The Great Alone, I might not pick up one of her books for a little while. Okay, the next one is The Kite Runner. And I need to make sure I say this author's name correctly because I didn't write his name down before. His name is Khaled Hosseini. And I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book. And obviously it's a movie, so I really do want to watch the movie after I read the book. Again, Felicia's been pushing me to read this book 4 months at this point. She said like that's literally one of the best books I've ever read, and she said like any of his books are amazing, so I really do want to read it. So that is going to be number 2. Okay, actually I've already read one of these on this list. I didn't even realize that. So I forgot that I put it on here. So we've already read one. So that's great. I didn't even realize that. I might not update you guys until my January wrap up though, because this list is supposed to be full of unread books, not read books, but yay me. Okay, so the next one is Once and Future Witches by Alix E. Harrow. Now, sorry, I'm blowing my nose because I am sick, so forgive me, but it is what it is. I'm going through tissues like paper right now because they're literally paper. I'll see myself out. I can't because I'm in my own room. So anyway, yeah, so Once and Future Witches. I've had this book probably over a year and a half because I think I bought it in 2023 or no 2024, like towards the end of the year of 2024, and I didn't read it in the entire year of 2025. So it's been on my TBR more than a year. And the thing is that I just picked up Alix E. Harrow's new book, The Everlasting, and I'm fully intending on reading that in February. So I think I already did that with one author's books that I have on this list as well, that I will get to in a minute. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Give me a second. Sorry, bear with me. So, anyway, I've been wanting to read this book for a while, but for some reason I keep on putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. I think because it's long. And I don't know why we put off longer books for some reason, because sometimes longer books, you don't want them to end because they're so good. So we're gonna need to read it because you'll know I love witchy books. So I'm probably gonna end up finally reading it in Halloween of 2026 because I've put it on, I think, 2 Halloween TBRs now. So I definitely bought it before Halloween in 2024. So I need to read it this year or I'm going to get rid of it because I know it's on Kindle Unlimited. So I don't know if I really need to own the physical book anymore. Okay, next up is one of the books. I'm just going to say it. Who cares? Nobody watches my videos anyway. The next book that I actually did read already, so we already read one of the books on this list, is Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. I actually read this in a vlog that you are going to be seeing, and also I'm going to talk about it in my wrap up anyway. This book has been on my list probably, or on my TBR, for over a year as well, and I finally decided to read it. So it did feel really good to get to some books that have been on my TBR for quite a while. But I will say my full thoughts about it in my wrap up. I'm just gonna let you know that I read it. Okay. And this one's like a sea, like ship kind of Agatha Christie inspired fantasy murder mystery. And I'll tell you guys what I thought in that in my wrap up and my vlog. So the next one is The Scarlet Veil by, why am I pulling my hair? And let me just pull it up on Goodreads too. Scarlet Veil. This one is by Shelby Mahurin. And I've had this book for quite a while. I added it on May 29th of 2024. So this has been on my TBR for way longer than a year. And I just don't know why I haven't picked it up yet. They're just very long. But I actually put it on my February TBR as well. I actually almost picked it up this month because I ended up reading another series that was on my 25 and 2025 list that I ended up reading in this month because the third book's coming out in March. And it wasn't on my TBR this month, but I wanted a dragon-inspired vampire kind of romantasy, which was On Wings of Blood. I read both of them this past week. On Wings of Blood, I mean. Is that how you say it? So anyway, this is the spin-off duology that is in the Serpent and Dove trilogy. Now, people said that you don't have to necessarily read the Serpent and Dove trilogy in order to read these. So I'm just going to go into these. I honestly don't think I have any interest in Serpent and Dove because I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about it. And a lot of people say it's not YA. This is supposed to be a YA duology, and I don't know. I just feel like I'm going to like this more. From what I've seen, there's been better reviews about these because they both have a 4 over 4 rating on Goodreads. So yeah. Yeah, so I think I'm definitely going to read these finally because they've just been on my TBR for too long. The second one I marked in December of 2024. So again, it's just been too long. So I'm really excited to read both of these at this point. Just again, they're like 600-page books, so they're just long, but I'm unemployed now. I might as well bite the bullet and read some longer books on my TBR because I really do need to read that book. Okay, so next up is one of the books that I've definitely had this book for way too long as well, and I really do want to read. I'm going to be reading a lot of duologies this year over like longer series, I feel like, because I own both of these books too. I own both of The Scarlet Veil and the second book, which is The Shadow Bride. So this one I added in June of 2024. So this has been on my TBR a month less than The Scarlet Veil. So I want to really read this too. And this is on a lot of people's like 25 and 2025 are like kind of like yearly TBRs that for some reason I don't know why these people put off this book specifically. but I'm in that boat too, and I don't know why. So I did just read Sue Lin Tan's new release in December called Never Ever After, and I freaking loved it. It was so good that I really do want to get to this duology this year, and that is Daughter of the Moon Goddess, also by Sue Lin Tan. It even has a blurb by Stephanie Garber, and you guys know I freaking love Stephanie Garber's books. I love Once Upon a Broken Heart. I love Caraval. I'm such a sucker for those books. I think they're great. And I've read every single book by Stephanie Garber, but I haven't read this duology yet. And basically, this is an Asian fantasy book, and if you guys know anything about me, I love Asian fantasy books. I think the magic systems in Asian fantasy books are just incredible. I think that they're sometimes so much better than regular romantasy books. They're so good. So I really need to read this book. And I'm going to read book 1 and 2. Hopefully at some point. I really want to read these in like the springtime. I don't know why I always feel like these books would be read. I mean, best be read in spring. So anyway, next up is The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. Now, I have read quite a bit of Tricia Levenseller's books before this, but for some reason I put them off for a while, and then I finally read her Daughter of the Pirate King trilogy back in December of 2024. Then I did not pick up any of her books in 2025. I hadn't read one book by her in 2025. I've had The Shadows Between Us on my TBR for a while as well. And these books are so short. I don't know why I haven't read them. But for some reason, I have a couple of short books that I put off for some reason on my TBR. So this one I added in July of 2024. So like all of these like literally that I listed that are all part of duologies, I added in May, June, and July of 2024. Just one right after the other, which is actually really funny. So I really do want to read this duology as well. They're called The Shadows Between Us and The Darkness Within Us. For Daughter of the Moon Goddess, I forget what the second book is called. Dude, I'm so hungry. I think my mom just finished making dinner. She got pissed at me before, so she always delays everything when she gets mad, but whatever. It's called Heart of the Sun Warrior. There's also 2 other books that take place in this world as well, but I just really want to read the duology right now, and I'll pick up the other 2 books if I really like the duology. So, yeah, anyway, I really want to read The Shadows Between Us, because I really enjoyed Daughter of the Pirate King. Okay, dinner's ready. I did pick up her new book, What Fury Brings, because I met her at Comic-Con. It was so cool that I even met her there, but I didn't have any of my physical books that I owned by her for her to sign, so I really wanted to buy her new release so she could sign that one, and I've heard so many mixed reviews about that book being, like, insane. Not in a good way, though, so we will see if I end up reading that book, too. So yeah, I'm gonna go, because I need to eat, and I'll be back after. Okay, so I'm back, and it's quite a few hours later, because I had dinner, and then I had to do other things, and I read a little bit more, so yeah. Anyway, we are back, and we're gonna go through the rest of the list. So, I left off on The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. I actually haven't read anything by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and none of her books are on this list either. But I do have the first book in the Half-Blood series that I still haven't read. I don't even know why I bought it when there's like 6 books in that series. So it's like, y'all, it's hard to keep up with all these fucking long-ass series. Like, I did Shatter Me, I did Bridge Kingdom, I did Throne of Glass, I did ACOTAR, I did all these YA trilogies, like Ember in the Ashes is a quartet, actually. I also did the Caraval trilogy. I did the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I did the Serpents and the Wings of Night duets. I'm about to read the third one when it comes out. The third duet, the first book and the third duet, comes out in August. So I read all of Kingdom of the Wicked and the Throne of the Fallen books, and Heavenly Bodies and Fallen Stars, The Will of the Many and The Strength of the Few. So, the Cruel Prince series, the Lightlark series, the Belladonna series, so like the Daughter of the Pirate King trilogy. So, I am seasoned with I've read Quicksilver and Brimstone. I've read The Night Ends with Fire duet. I read the Revenant Games duet. Like, I've read Fourth Wing. I've read the entire Boys of Tommen series. So, yeah. I've read a shit ton of series. It's just like there's a shit ton of more series that I want to read. Like Red Rising and Jennifer L. Armentrout's From Ash and Blood. I want to read all of those. And I want to read all these other series. The Infernal Devices trilogy. The Dance with Thieves duology, which is still sitting on my fucking TBR. So, the Rage of Dragons. The Bloodsworn trilogy. The Assassin's Apprentice trilogy, the Fireborn trilogy. I want to read all of them that are still sitting on my shelf. So yeah, anyway, I read the Hunger Games trilogy too. So, and the spin-offs and yeah. I mean the prequels. So there's a lot. So yeah, anyway. So the Shadows Between Us, I really do want to read those. I'm not sure how I feel about her new book, What Fury Brings, because it's her first adult book, but everybody says like it's crazy masochist with like being flipped on its head. And I don't know if I'm gonna read that book. I just bought it so she could autograph it, and honestly I'm just gonna keep it because of that. I don't know if I'm even gonna read it. It has value to me because she signed it. So it was worth it that she signed it so I can meet her in person. And she's so sweet. She's so nice. So we will see. I might just put that in a vlog of books that I've been avoiding. And I might do that one. And along with this one that I'm going to do a full reading vlog on. Because I didn't even know if I was going to pick up this book or not. I didn't even know if I was going to have interest in reading this book. But I ended up picking it up. And that is Alchemized by San Li Yu, I believe their name is. Let me just double check. I did not have any intentions of even reading this book. But then I picked up, of course, this book at Comic-Con as well, because it was a signed copy. And I didn't meet this author, they just had a signed copy of it. So, why is that such a bad cover? I don't know why every time I hit the Goodreads image now, it's like the worst, most distorted image and it takes forever to load. So anyway, this book is like 1,000 pages, okay? I don't even know when I'm going to get to this book. It's definitely not going to be a priority for me until like the end of the year, okay? Like, I haven't really had anybody that I know come up to me and say, you have to read this book. It's really just been on like Book Talk and like Larry Reads and Laura, and I think Bailey read it too, and they're all like, oh my god, it's amazing. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm still not sure if I'm gonna read it. Basically, it's a Harry Potter fanfic. It used to be called Manacled, then it got traditionally published to be called Alchemized, and also the author didn't want anything to do with being tied to J.K. Rowling anymore, which, hello, like, obviously, like, that makes sense if you follow or you lived under a rock. Some people didn't know about it when I talked to them about it at, like, work and stuff, maybe because they wanted to know my thoughts. I don't know, like, the shit was weird at Apple. So anyway, it's fine. So anyway, it takes place with Malfoy and Hermione, and they have like completely different names, and everybody says you really don't have to read Manacled in order to read Alchemized. It's basically the same thing. It's just a little bit more expanded. It's not like you're missing anything if you don't read both. And also, Manacled's not even available to read anymore. So, it's like completely gone. You can't even get it on Kindle Unlimited or anything because the author just traditionally published her own book. So, anyway, so there's that. Then the next book, I don't even remember the author's name because I've had this on my TBR for I don't even know how long. Apparently I can't spell either because I have to look up how to spell this word real quick. You know, the dyslexia gets worse when you get older. Let me just say that. I don't know if I want to read that actually. Anyway, this one is called Splintered by A.G. Howard. And this one I added to my TBR June 24th of 2024. So again, another book that's been on my TBR for a year and a half that I still haven't read. And basically this is like this is the book one in a series, but they're all like complete like standalones. Like you don't have to continue the series if you don't want to, because they're all like Disney retellings or like Grimm tale retellings. And this one I believe is Alice in Wonderland. I'm just going to read this really quick. It says, Alyssa Gardner hears the whispers of bugs and flowers, precisely the affliction that landed her mother, can I speak, in a mental hospital years before. The family curse stretches back to her ancestor, Alice Little, the real-life inspiration for Lewis Carroll's Alice Adventures in Wonderland. Okay, that's all I'm going to read. Okay, so it is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. So very excited for that one. The only reason why I picked this book up is because my book bestie Becca told me that I should read this. I've been friends with her for like 20 years. I've like mentioned this on my channel. I'm multiple times. I lived across the hall from her at in college, and we just became like this. We did have our ups and downs over the years, but now we're pretty close. So yeah, we've remained friends this whole time, and yeah, I'm excited to read that. So next up is, I don't know if I'm going to read this. I mean, yeah, I do want to read this before the movie comes out. Because I only spent like less than $5 on this book. I know she's super controversial, but I do want to see this movie. I did give away her other 2 books. This is the only other book that I want to read from her, and that's it. And I'm basically done with this author. And that's Verity by Colleen Hoover. I just heard that this book is nuts and very unhinged, and if I want like a super bingeable, unhinged kind of thriller book, I did put it on my TBR for February. I'm going to read this, and then I'm just probably going to give it away, but I do want to read it before I give it away. Again, I spent like no money on it, and the book is out. The movie comes out in October, but damn, she getting movie deals left and right. I think her 3rd movie just came out, because she had It Ends With Us, obviously, and then that was the whole fucking controversy. That's the only other books that I've read by her was It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. I did really enjoy them. It was when I first became a reader. I since have given them away. I don't support Colleen Hoover. I just really want to read this book before the movie, and then I'll probably just use my movie rewards to see this movie. So as long as it's not coming out of my own pocket, I don't care how the movie does. I just don't want to support her financially. So anyway, really want to read that. Okay, then next up is another one that has a movie. So we have quite a few. This movie came out a while back, and I'm just typing in the covers apparently to show you on Goodreads. So this one I added. I don't even have it on my want to read. Oh my god. Why do I do that? Some books I buy and then I don't add them to my want to read on Goodreads. I don't understand myself sometimes. It gets me really annoyed when I do that. I bought this book like well over a year ago. Probably like summer 2024 is what I'm guessing. And that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Why did that just go away? Like, what the hell? So this one, the movie, I don't know when the movie came out, but I've owned the book for so long, and for some reason, it's one of the only, like, romances that I have on my TBR, like, forever, and also, just on my list in general, like, because usually I pick up romances pretty damn quickly. And then the other one is The Kiss Quotient. I didn't put that on this list because I feel like I'm just going to read that when I'm in the mood for it. But I always put at least one romance on this list that I haven't read since I got it, obviously. The one that I put on my list last year was the first book in the Glimmer Falls series, which was another series that I read last year. And those books were hysterical. It was A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. I absolutely loved those books, and I'm so happy I finally read them last year because they were so goddamn funny. So yeah, hopefully we'll read The Hating Game soon. I guess I put Once and Future Witches on here twice. Why did I do that? I need to make sure I have 26 books on here then. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're halfway through this list pretty much. 20. Okay, that's exactly 26. Wait, I put 2 on this list twice. What the hell am I doing? That's only 25 then. I didn't want to carry over any books from last year to this list. I know which one. I'll just put this one on here because I still haven't read this book either. And I feel like if I don't, I'm not going to, so. Okay, next up is The Honey Witch by Cindy J. Shields, I believe. I've heard very mixed reviews about this book. Basically it's a sapphic romance between a witch and I think it's a witch and a human sapphic romance, if I'm not mistaken. I added it in September of 2025, but honestly I've had this book for well over a year and a half as well, because I'm pretty sure I picked it up in 2024. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure it's a witch and a human. And this is what the cover looks like. Basically, this was strictly a cover buy because I thought the cover was so cute. Again, I'm probably going to read this during Halloween this year, and then I will have finally, finished my Halloween books that I put on my 2024 Halloween TBR and didn't read all of them at all that year. I read 5 or 6 of them, and then I was like, I need to mix it up. I can't read all Halloween books in October, because I thought it was just going to get boring. So anyway, we're going to read that. And then next up, this one was a really spontaneous, random kind of buy that I bought quite a few months back. And this is actually a fantasy standalone. I've had it for almost a year already. So I added it to my want to read in March of 2025. So it hasn't been on my list as long as some of these other books, but I really do want to read this book, and it's called Angel Mage by Garth Mix. This is another one that I didn't really hear anything about. I had no idea who this author is. So I was like, okay, this book sounds really, really good. I was just deciding that I really wanted to read it, and I picked it up. And it, like I said, it's a fantasy? Can I speak? It's a fantasy standalone. So, very excited about that. I love one and done kind of fantasy books. I just read Seven Deadly Thorns a couple weeks ago, and that's a standalone YA fantasy, and it was really good. I believe this is a standalone YA as well. So, yeah. It says, more than a century has passed since Lilith crept into the empty sarcophagus of Saint Marguerite, fleeing the fall of Ystara. But she emerges from her magical sleep still beautiful, looking no more than 19, and once again renews her single-minded quest to be united with her lover, Palinil, the Archangel of Ystara. A seemingly impossible quest, but Lilith is one of the greatest practitioners of angelic magic to have ever lived, summoning angels and forcing them to do her bidding. So it just sounds so good. So I'm very excited to read that one. I'm not sure if I added that to my February TBR. I don't think I did. The heck? What am I looking at? No, I don't think I did. No. I had some other books that have been on my TBR longer. Okay, cool. So next up is The Humans by Matt Haig. Now, I've had this book for quite a while, and Matt Haig is actually the author that got me into reading again, because he's the one that sparked my love of reading, and because I read when I was a kid, but I never liked it. So I picked up his book, The Radleys, because my mom gave it to me. She lent it to me like over 2 years ago. It was like 2023, and I just had it sitting on my bedside table like for months. I just didn't even pick it up. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna start reading this. It took me like 4 or 5 months to actually finish it. If I read like a chapter a night, I was so like, that was when reading was like fun. And I mean, of course I still read for fun, but it's like I didn't think it was going to spark like this freaking obsession with books. Like I felt like I was going to love it, but also like it's where like, oh yeah, I'll just pick up a book and read it, however long that I want to, and I don't have to worry about like reading 10 million other books. And then it came, to like, honestly, I really don't have that many physical books that I want to read. It's just reading them is the issue. So I've read 4 of his books at this point. So after I read The Radleys, I read The Midnight Library, which is everybody's favorite book by him. But honestly, most of his books are amazing. Like, again, I've read 4 books by him, and they're all just such unique concepts. I don't know why Midnight Library is his biggest, most famous book. Like, it's amazing. It really is. But, like, he has other books. I don't know why that's the only one anyone ever talks about. Like, his other books deserve flowers, too. And then I read How to Stop Time, which is actually becoming a mini series that Benedict Cumberbatch is producing and also starring in. So I'm super excited about that. And then he also has a Christmas movie out on Netflix called A Boy Called Christmas, which was actually a series of like Christmas short stories. And that was amazing. I watched that with my family and they all loved it. So, and I was like, yeah, he's the same one that I told you to read Midnight Library by. But my mom didn't want to finish it. She read like 20 pages and she's like, this isn't for me. So she'll probably just watch the movie with me. But anyway, and then I read his newest release back in 2024. I didn't read any books by him in 2025, so I really want to go back to read more of his books. He is having a new book come out this year, and I believe it's the sequel to The Midnight Library. It's called The Midnight Train. Yeah, it is the sequel because The Midnight Library says #1. I think Midnight Library was supposed to be standalone, and then since it was so freaking successful, they probably asked him to write a sequel. And that comes out in May. So I'm definitely reading that in May. But I really do want to read this one, which is called The Humans. I've had this one for a while, and I think it's about a bunch of aliens, and it's a super short book. So I really do want to read that this year so I can at least add one more of his books to my backlist, because I do want to read all of his books at one point. So then I will have read 6 books if I read this book this year plus The Midnight Train. So I think that's a good like halfway mark. Because I discovered Fredrik Backman last year, and then I read 5 Fredrik Backman books last year. And now like I don't really want to pick up any of his books this year because there's no new releases, and honestly, like, I read the ones that I really wanted to read. I might pick up the other ones, like, at some point, but honestly, I want to read more authors that I haven't read from this year, or continue to read authors that I want to read all of their books by, so, like Matt Haig. Okay, the next one is the start of a series. Honestly, I might only just read this one, because I picked up this one, honestly, I think I picked it up at the end of 2024. I marked it as to read in July of 2024. I picked it up, I believe, in the beginning of 2025 because it was like New York Times best book of 2025, not just for the year, but for the century, which is friggin' insane. Can you guys believe that we've been in the 21st century for 25 years already? Because I was a millennial. I mean, I'm not even a millennial. I'm a Gen X. So anyway, Uh, but the fact that we lived through a millennium is fucking insane. So, anyway. So this one is called My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. This actually has a TV show on Max as well. So I do want to read a lot of these books so I can watch like the adaptations for them as well. But I just want to read this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to read like the rest of the series, but I heard this series is like amazing. And I don't really read that many like regular period books unless they are like period fantasy books like The Rose Bargain or Belladonna or Light Lark or Cruel Prince and stuff like that. I don't really like reading like regular period books that much. So I really do want to read this one. So I believe it's a French author and series name. It says Lamique. I'm not going to say that right at all. I'm just going to show it on the screen. La Amica Geniali. Close enough. I feel like I'm going to sneeze again. So yeah. I believe it's like a period romance series, and I think it has a bit of sapphic in it. So I think that's why it's so well known and popular, because you know that was probably forbidden. I mean, it was forbidden during that time. I don't know why I'm saying probably. I can't speak right now because I'm sneezing like crazy again. Hold on. Okay, guys, so here's now day 2 of me filming my 26 and 2026 TBR video. I just got so tired of talking yesterday that I just stopped. So we're just going to continue with the book that I left off on. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4. I still have 12 books on this. One of them is not a physical book, though. I'm going to put this on the bottom, too. So let's talk about King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. So, I had read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, at the end of December of 2024. And I really did love the duology, but I wasn't obsessed enough to, like, go and pick up King of Scars, like, right away. And I've heard, like, mixed reviews on King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, but I still wanted to read it. Let me just make sure I still have 26 on this. Ugh. Well, 2 of them aren't physical books, 25 of them are. So it's technically 27, but it's going to be 26 because this I'm counting towards my 26 and 2026, even though it's not a physical book. I still really am going to read this series, really want to read this, and I'm going to read this in 2026. So anyway, yeah, so I want to read King of Scars this year. I really want to, like I said, read a lot of duologies are on this list, including this one and Scarlet Veil and Daughter of the Moon Goddess. So hopefully we'll be on the Shadows Between Us. So hopefully we'll be able to read all of them. I have a feeling we will, because duologies are a lot less of a commitment than like a 5-book series like Red Queen. But we're still reading Red Queen in February because we need to get it off my TBR. It's been over 2 years. So anyway, hopefully to read that this year. Then next up is a thriller. And this is probably the longest thriller that's on my TBR. It's a very dark thriller, and I'm dying to read this book. I might actually put this on my February TBR just because, like, I'm still wanting to read, like, some kind of thriller. Besides, because I have one on my TBR next month, and that is His and Hers. I might read this over Verity next month. I'm not sure yet, but I'm dying to read this one. I'll pull it up on Goodreads. Felicia's also been pushing me to read this, and it's some of everyone's like favorite, one of like everyone's favorite thrillers. It has such a high rating on Goodreads. And that is All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. Really want to read this a lot. I want to read the synopsis really quick. I added it last January, so it's been a full ass year. It's just like there's so many books I want to read still, and it's just like, what do I do? Do I just pick up one that I'm really in the mood for, like this one, because I really do want to read this actually like right away? But it's so long. It's like 500 pages. All right. Almost 600 pages. So we're just going to talk about it. So it says, or maybe it's not. What? Wait, hold on. It says 1975 is a time of change in America. The Vietnam War is ending. Muhammad Ali is fighting Joe Frazier. And in the small town of Montclair, Missouri, girls are disappearing. When the daughter of a wealthy family is targeted, the most unlikely hero emerges, Patch, a local boy who saves the girl, and in doing so, leaves heartache in his wake. Patch and those who love him soon discover that the line between triumph and tragedy has never been finer, and that their search for answers will lead to them to truths that could mean losing one another. A missing person mystery, a serial kill thriller. Ooh, okay. Missing person and serial killer thriller. So I really need to read this. I just put it on the February TBR because I want to read that like so soon. And I'm like really dying to pick it up at some point. Okay. Next up is Curious Tides. And I forgot the author of this book as well. But I own books 1 and 2. And I still haven't picked up either of them. And I'm supposed to do a buddy read of this with my friend Becca. I added this to my want to read in October of 2024. So yeah, it's been a while. So it's by Pascal Lascelles. I'm probably butchering that. And basically this is like not a very talked about fantasy book. It's like a YA fantasy. There's also seems to be a prequel that came out in 2023, or it just looks like a short story. Oh, book 3 comes out in April this year. So maybe we'll read it in March, because me and Becca do want to read this soon. So maybe it will be a March series. We will see. Or in April. We'll just pick it up in April. But I know there's a lot of fantasy books coming out in April that I really want to read. Like, maybe that comes out in May. I don't put any new releases on these because I always read them. So, like, these are books that I want to read that have been on my TBR for way too long. So this one says, I'm just going to read it a little bit, and then we're not going to read any more synopsises. I just kind of want to refresh my memory on this one. It says, Emery might be a student at the prestigious Aldrin College for Lunar Magics, but her healing abilities have always been mediocre at best until a treacherous night in the Dovermere Sea caves leaves a group of her classmates dead and her as the only survivor. Now Emery is plagued by strange, impossible powers that no healer should possess. Powers that would ruin her life if the wrong person were to discover them. To gain control of these new abilities, Emery enlists the help of the school's most reclusive student, Boz, a boy already well versed in the deadly nature of darker magic, whose sister happened to be one of the drowned students and Emery's best friend. Okay, that sounds really good. So I'm excited to read that one. Okay, next up is one that's been on my list for a while, and I put this on me and Felicia's buddy read list. But I've had it on my list for like quite a while. Oh my god. I'm like literally put like the wrong fucking title. Now I feel like I have to get up and get it. Hold on 1 second. Never mind. I got it. It's As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zolfa Cato. I'm probably butchering that too. But this is one that I added in July of 2024, and I picked up the physical book, I believe, at my local bookstore for like $7 or $8. So I really do want to read this book this year. I think it takes place in Syria. Salama Kasib was a pharmacy student when she cries for freedom broke out in Syria. She still had her parents and her big brothers. She still had her home. She had a normal teenager's life. Now Salama cannot read. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. Volunteers at a hospital and homes, helping the wounded who fled through the doors daily. Secretly, though, she is desperate to find a way out of her beloved country before her sister-in-law, Layla, gives birth. So desperate that she has manifested a physical embodiment of her fear in the form of her imagined companion, Kav, who haunts her every move in an effort to keep her safe. Okay, that sounds so good. I don't know if that means it's like some type of magical realism element, but I can't wait. I thought this was more of like a historical fiction, but I want to read it so bad. So yeah, we definitely need to do an episode 2 of getting books that have been on my TBR for too long, because I already did that in January and we're going to continue that in February. So yeah. Anyway, next up, this one's been on my TBR for a hot fucking minute too. And this one, I'm probably not going to read until October again, because it is kind of like a vampires book. I added it in August of 2024. I'm pretty sure my friend got it for me as like a bit of a birthday gift at Barnes, because it was like one of those wrapped books. This is like the only one that I haven't read that she like kind of gifted to me, besides one more that has a movie adaptation that I've seen a million times. The other wrapped book that she got me was Chocolate. Jesus. And I haven't read that yet because I've seen the movie so many times that I don't know if I really need to read the book. It's still sitting in my room. It's probably one of the last books that I'll read on my physical TBR. But anyway, this book is called The God of Endings by Jacqueline Holland. I still have this book. I don't know if this is supposed to be a bit horror-y, but it's in the general fiction section of Barnes & Noble. It's not in the thriller horror section. So, did I say it's like a historical vampire book? So, yeah, I really want to read it. It sounds really interesting. It's at like an 1834 setting. And yeah. So we're not going to read the synopsis because I don't know why I keep on reading every single one, but I really want to read that. Okay. Oh my God, I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Hopefully that'll be the last sneezing break that we take because we only have another 6 books to talk about. So next up is Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult. Now, Felicia has been pushing me to read one of Jodi Picoult's books, and I really want to read this one. This is like the only one that I picked up by her so far, and I added it in November 2025, so it hasn't been that long. I know I picked it up before that, though. Probably like over the summer, so it hasn't been on my list for that long, but I really do want to read it. Let's see. I don't know what exactly this is about, though. Okay. For sure. So she kind of like leaves. Wait a minute. This kind of takes like a kind of a twisty turn with like a murder. So I didn't know it was like that. So yeah. Need to read this. It says Mad Honey is a riveting novel of suspense, an unforgettable love story, and a moving and powerful exploration of the secrets we keep and the risks we take in order to become ourselves. Ooh, yes. Definitely reading that soon. I also need to read The River is Waiting. I might add that to this list too. I probably need to because I keep on pushing it and I keep on telling her that I'm going to read it, but then I'm reading all the Kristen Hanna books that she's been pushing me to read more, and I've kind of been moving those up more. But once I read The Great Alone, then I can work on some of those other books that she wants me to read. So anyway, next up is one that Meg actually read that I told her that I've had for so long, and I haven't read either of these books. Like, since I'm unemployed now, it gives me an excuse to actually read the books that I own. So I'm not just going to go out and run and buy more books at this point. So this one's been on my TBR since July of 2024 as well, and it's called Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alarie Sayans. And this is Aristotle and Dante #1. There's also the second book, which is called Aristotle, the hell? What is wrong with you? Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World. Why is this one not even on my want to read? I don't know. Sometimes I only add the first book, so I can actually read it, so then I can add the second book, you know? So yeah, I'm definitely adding one other physical book to this. I know exactly which one, because it's in my drawer and I still haven't fucking read it yet. And this would be one of the last book of the month books. Actually, I think it's the last book of the month book I would have to read. And then I will have read all the book of the month books that I've received. So anyway, I need to read Aristotle Saves the World. Why did I go from... Wait, did I list Curious Tides twice too? Oh my god. How many do I actually have on this list still? How many times are we going to count this fucking list? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What? Why did I add the Crimson Throne? No, the Crimson Crown. It's still only 25 physical books, but it's okay. Anyway, we're going to read Aristotle Saves the World. I'm sorry, this is such a mess. We need to, hurry this up and be done. It says, Dante can swim. Ari can't. Dante is inarticulate and self-assured. Ari has a hard time with words and suffers from self-doubt. Dante gets lost in poetry and art. I'm sorry, I need to lay back because I forgot I really want to edit this video when I'm done. And then I'm going to go take a shower. So, anyway, because I'm so fucking tired. Dante is fair-skinned. Ari's features are much darker. It seems that a boy like Dante, with his open and unique perspective on life, would be the last person to break down walls that Ari has built around himself. But against all odds, when Ari and Dante meet, they develop a special bond that will teach them the most important truths of their lives and help define the people they want to be. But there are big hurdles in their way, and only by believing in each other and the power of their friendship can Ari and Dante emerge stronger on the other side. Okay. Sounds like a YA general fiction, which I don't really read that many of. I read more so adult general fiction, so I'm excited for that one. And I believe Meg said she read both of them, and I really do want to read both of them as well. So now I do have 2 more thrillers on my list. Let's just go through those really quickly, because I've had these books for so long. And for some reason, I haven't picked up any Lucy Foley books before still, because I've heard such mixed reviews about her books. Why is this not even on my want to read when I own the fucking book? Jesus Christ. I probably bought this in 2024, I believe, as well, in the city at the Strand. And it's called The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. I definitely have the other cover. I don't have the cover like this. It's like a black cover with red font. And again, I've seen very mixed reviews about her books. Not the best. But I'm kind of really intrigued to finally read this book. I'm not reading the synopsis because I don't like spoiling thrillers for people. And I think thriller synopsises can be a little bit spoilery sometimes. So I want to read that one. And then the other one I added to my TBR because one of my favorite YouTubers is obsessed with Claire McIntosh, and she's like her name is Francesca Reeds, and she's a big thriller booktuber. And one of them that I have is I See You by Claire McIntosh. I added this back in December of 2024. I was really inspired to pick it up like a couple of months ago, and then for some reason I just didn't. And I keep on putting it off. Again, I really need to just pick up books that I'm putting off. And like I said, I did that this month, and I think I did like 4 or 5 books at least in January, which made me feel great. So now I need to do that again in February. So this one is like kind of like a cyber thriller, so I'm very excited to read that. I don't really read that many cyber thrillers. I don't know if I have. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I don't know why I haven't yet. And then the last physical book and then the other two are both Kindle reads because they're both on Kindle Unlimited. Crimson. Come on. Are you being dumb? My Pinker Tinker is out of his flage. This is not even on my want to read either. What is wrong with me? Okay, we're definitely reading this year because the second book is coming out in June of 2026. So very excited for that. This one is called The Crimson Crown by Heather Walter, and I got this in my book of the month probably over a year ago at this point. So I think I got it in 2024, possibly early 2025, but I'm pretty sure I've had it for quite a while. So this one is a Snow White sapphic retelling. So since I finally read my first like Disney retelling, like Grimm Tales retelling with Seven Deadly Thorns, I definitely want to read a lot more this year, like with Splintered and The Crimson Crown being on my TBR, my 26 and 2026 TBR, and it inspires me to pick them up more. So then the last two, like I said, are both Kindle books. One is a Kindle series, and the other one, well, it's on Kindle Unlimited, and then the other one is a standalone. Now, for this author's books, I've been dying to pick up more of R.F. Kuang's books, and me and Felicia are going to be doing a buddy read of The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang this year. I'm scared. I am so scared. I was putting up Billy Summers and Brandon Sanderson's Warbreaker for the longest time, and they ended up fucking loving them. And then Tomorrow. I'm so glad that I read them at the end of December. So now I just need to read these because we have, I marked it January 5th. I don't know if that's 2025 or 2024. The second one's called The Dragon Republic, and the third one is called The Burning God, and I'm really dying to read these because the only R.F. Kuang book that I've read is Yellowface. I also really want to read Babel. I would love to add it to this list, but I think that The Poppy War is where I'm going to go first. But I've heard it's a gut-wrenching, high fantasy trilogy. So we'll see. I definitely want to read a lot of high fantasy this year too. And then the last one, I believe this is 27, but I still want to mention it. Just like as a bonus, you know. Oh my god, if I can freaking type. So I read my first book by M.L. Wang this last January, which was Blood Over Brighthaven. And you guys know that was my favorite book that I read last year. Nothing really topped it. It's just such an amazing book. Words cannot even describe how amazing that book is. But I've been putting off her other book all last year because I don't know if I can handle the emotional devastation. This one I might be putting off the most out of all these books. Over Kristen Hanna, over Frederick Bachman, over like all the other books that I just keep on putting off for no fucking reason. Just because I simply don't have the time to read everything. This is The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang, and I've heard that this one is just as emotionally devastating as Blood Over Bright Haven. If not, maybe more so. And I think that this one might be her highest rated book. I'm not sure. Why did this already, like, get fucked up? Like, my quilt. Like, I don't understand. Blood Over Bright Haven has a 4.34. Sword of Kaigen has a 4.44. But, Emma Wang doesn't really write that many books, but when she does, they're like fucking masterpieces. So Blood Over Bright Haven was her most recent release, and that was October of 2024 already. And that was only on my list for 3 months, and then I picked it up in January of 2025. So this is like an Asian high fantasy, and I'm dying to read it, but at the same time, like, if I'm taking on the Poppy War and the Sword of Kaigen this year, I don't know how I'm gonna feel. And then of course there's other series that I was putting off that I didn't get to last year that are gonna be carried over as series that I want to read this year, like Red Rising, Bloodsworn, Rage of Dragons, Assassin's Apprentice, you know, all those series like that. So yeah, we're done. So please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram at CBW819 and check out my Goodreads and my book talk in the links below in the description box. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books, if there's any I should prioritize, if you feel like I'm missing out, because I've read a shit ton of books since I've started reading in 2023, but I need to know if I'm putting off books that I shouldn't. Because I'm sure there's plenty on this list that I need to just read ASAP. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great night and keep reading. Bye.